All right, today is the follow-up for the cat knife that I've been doing for the last 2 or 3 weeks. The model number on this one is 980012. It doesn't really have any kind of name, like the Benchmade Bug Out or the Civivi Lazar liner. It doesn't have any kind of name like that. It's just it came in a 4-pack. It was a multi-tool, 2 knives, and a little pocket keychain knife type thing. And again, this one was model 980012, and the blade steel is 7CR1 7MOV. It comes with a seatbelt cutter and a glass breaker, both of which I was not in a situation where I had to use, so I didn't get a chance to test those, thankfully. But when I first did the initial review on this knife, I was, I get underwhelmed by knives, right? You see a knife, you go in for a knife. It's usually something that catches the eye. But this set was pretty plain. These look like your everyday low-end pocket knives, like something you're gonna take around with you, beat up, break, lose, and then just buy another cheap one and go. And so, I mean, that's kind of cool, especially working in the tool world, to have something like this on hand. I wasn't too impressed with it at first, but I will say this little cheapy deepy tool knife, I mean, it definitely performed without any issues whatsoever. I thought there was going to be an issue with dullness. I mean, it's still a fairly sharp blade, and it had no problem doing anything I was trying to do with it. Popping plastic banding straps. I use it to pry apart a clamp on metal banding straps, and it didn't break the tip off or anything on the knife. Cutting open cardboard, I mean, flayed right through the actual cardboard itself. Zip ties, no problem at all. So for my everyday uses, as much as this looked like just a blocky little, lackluster type knife, it actually did very well. I mean, it's cat brand. I'd never bought a cat brand knife before. It always just seemed like a generic pocket knife that Cat bought the rights to sell and just threw their logo on, which a lot of these tool companies, I feel like that's what they do. They just find a generic knife, buy the rights for it for a few years, and just have an engraving put on there with their logo. But again, that being said, pretty decent little knife to have around and using day to day. I really don't have any complaints with it. Even the under the blade safety release on here, which I'm not a huge fan of to begin with, it's still stiff enough that never dropped out, right? So I guess we can just get into the 6 features that I look for in these knives, and I'll go from there, because it is still a little stiff. I mean, I've opened it hundreds of times over the last 2-3 weeks, and it is still stiff, but that stiff mechanism there was fine for me to an extent, because I didn't have the blade just dropping straight down when I was trying to release. So, because it's still a sharp blade. I mean, for a little tool knife, that's still a pretty sharp blade, and I could easily have cut myself not paying attention, so stability or sturdiness, which is one of my points I look at, it's still very sturdy. It in my pocket, through use, all the different things. I dropped it a couple times. I mean, it's still built like a rock, like a brick. There's no wiggle, there's no jiggle, there's no wobbles in it. And comfortability wise, which is another point I look at, is, I mean, that fits for, more than I expected. That fits like right there, snug in my grip. That's not going anywhere. This knife did not go anywhere, no matter what I did to it. And that's something I really like when I'm using knives. The weight of it it's a good weight. I thought it was going to be lighter. I thought it, cheaply made, but it's still a pretty good weight. A little surprising cat knife, coming out of left field. Sharpness, like I said, it's still very sharp. If I were to slide my thumb down the blade, I would more than likely have a cut on my thumb, so I'm not going to do that on this knife. Functionality, I mean, besides not using this end at all, everything else worked great, perfect. no problems. It's still stiff, so it's still just a little stiff, but that kind of worked out in my favor this last time with this knife. Yeah, man, I surprised, thinking I'm buying some cheapy deepy little tool knife, some generic out of the box, you know, quick sell to the masses type thing, and it actually performed really well. You know, size, weight, sharpness, comfortability, functionality, sturdiness, all of that came out ranking pretty high for me. I'd give this knife 8 out of 10, a solid 8 out of 10. I should be giving it a 9 out of 10, because the only problem I have with it, well, there's two problems. The under the blade release, which is technically just my own preference, so that's not really a problem. So that's why I'm not giving it any kind of, I shouldn't give it any kind of demerit for that. And then the stiffness, the way that it didn't loosen up after using it for 3 solid weeks or so. But again, in a lot of cases that worked out in my favor. So I don't like giving knives 10 out of 10, because there's always, I feel like there's always something that somebody else might not like about it that I have no problem with. So I always like to leave room for error, room for judgment. I'll stick with my high 8 out of 10. One of the, you know, I forgot, another point I look at is aesthetics. I still don't like the brick look of this thing. I still don't like just the very tactical type style they were going for. It's not a thing I'm like super jazzed about. So 8 out of 10, solid knife. This was the Cat tool knife model 980012. That's the only name I really have for it. It didn't have any kind of monogram or type of way to call it anything other than the model number. So if you guys are just looking for something you can throw in your pocket or throw in a tool bag that's fairly inexpensive, I think the 4-pack, it comes with a multi-tool, 2 knives, and the pocket, little keychain pocket knife thing was like $40 or something like that. So everything really breaks down to about $10 to $12 a tool, which is not bad, especially for something that will hold up fairly well. You know, if you're not into the whole name brand expensive knives and you don't really want to buy into the $200-300 gimmicks that come with them, this would be an awesome little pocket packer for every single day, you know, everyday use. I mean, if you're going to be running around doing like work and things are going to get dirty, things are going to get dinged up, this is not very expensive, and it held up very well. 8 out of 10. Cat tool knife model 980012. So this will probably go in my toolbox in the garage, and if I ever need it for anything, I'll pop it out and use it. So I went ahead and I ordered an authentic Benchmade bug out, so that's coming down the line. I've had a few people asking me about it, about the comparison videos. So when that comes in, I'm going to do another knife while I'm waiting for that to come in. But when that comes in, I'm going to do my initial review of the knife in comparison videos with the clone bug out that I purchased and used before. And then I'll do my, you know, my follow-up review video comparison once I've used it for a few weeks, and we'll go from there. But it's an authentic Benchmade bug out, and I'm excited to see how well it compares to the clone that I've used previously and concurrently in the past. So keep a lookout for that one. And then I have another Cat tool knife that I'm going to be doing here. It's from that same pack. So we'll see you guys for that video. Thank you. Bye.